Let's get a check now of the top business news stories, and I'm joined by Cole Stangler from the France 24 Business News Desk. Cole, let's begin by taking a look at the markets, because there has been quite a lot of optimism out there on the back of that preliminary data with regard to what is a second potential COVID-19 vaccine. Tell us more.
That's right. It's the second time in as many weeks that we've seen encouraging news on the vaccine front. Last week, that was because of a product developed by Pfizer and German firm BioNTech. This week, it's U.S. firm Moderna with the good news. The company says that interim data shows its vaccine is nearly 95% effective in terms of preventing people from getting ill. Again, that's just preliminary trial data, but clearly that news is music to the ears of investors on Wall Street. Get those numbers up for you here. That the Dow Jones up nearly 1.5% today so far. The S&P up around 1%. The Nasdaq, meanwhile, the tech-heavy Nasdaq up around 0.75%. We also saw European shares in positive territory at the close. The FTSE and the CAC 40 here in Paris both up around 1.7%. Also gains over on the DAX in Frankfurt. It may seem obvious, but a vaccine, of course, welcome news for the economy. If you manage to roll out a vaccine sometime next year, that means, of course, fewer lockdowns, potentially no lockdowns at all. Businesses could open up. Consumer spending would see a rebound. That's pretty good news across the board. At the same time, what is interesting is if you look at the shares of companies that have performed well because of the lockdowns, they're actually down as a result of this news. So shares for Zoom Video Communications, the company behind the teleconferencing service that all of us may be a little bit tired of, its shares are down almost 4% today. Interestingly, shares for Pfizer as well, the company that released that data about that first vaccine, its shares are down as well, around 4%. So almost everyone getting that bump on Wall Street today.
Okay, and a bit earlier in the day, Cole, a group of Asian nations signed what is the world's largest trade deal. It's called the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Tell us a bit more about that.
So this deal covers nearly a third of the world economy, both in terms of population, but also GDP. Includes regional powerhouses like China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and 11 other countries. Concretely, what it means is that the countries are going to be phasing out tariffs on a range of goods within the next couple of decades. It also includes measures covering things like intellectual property, financial services, and telecom. And analysts say that it might help spur the recovery coming out of the coronavirus crisis. But what's interesting is, this is also significant from a geopolitical perspective. This deal does not include the United States. The U.S. backed out famously, of course, under Donald Trump from another Asian trade deal, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. This is also the first time that China is joining a regional multilateral trade pact. So broadly, this is seen as somewhat strengthening Chinese interests in the region. It should be said as well that the RCEP is not set in stone yet. Still needs to be ratified by at least 9 countries before coming into effect. And that's a process we're going to see now play out in national parliaments.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for that. Cole Stangler from the France 24 Business News Desk. Thank you very much indeed.